Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Today we are talking about the strategies to improve listening skills. So this course informs you about the strategies we can use in our daily life, which can help us in building up and improvement in the listening skills that we daily utilize. Because if we are listening well, we can reply and respond well. So, speaking and listening, they are well connected with each other. And in order to be a good speaker, first of all, we should be able to be a good listener. So, this focuses on how students can apply their knowledge and understandings to compose, comprehend, and respond to spoken language. Some processes and strategies are used intuitively, particularly when speaking and listening in familiar context with known people. However, unfamiliar contexts require deliberate selection and manipulation of speaking and listening processes and strategies. So we should be knowing that whom we are talking to and what is the situation in which we are talking, and uh, what is the context. If the context is familiar or unfamiliar, both the contexts have the different dominations and requirements. So we should be listening accordingly, keeping the formality and informality in our mind. So using spoken language requires people to think about how they are making meaning. So making meaning is what matters the most. It is not what is said, it is what is understood. So on the base of speaker, this matters a lot, that how well he speaks, and on the base of listeners, it matters that is he able to get or extract the correct meanings, what the speaker intends or not. Speakers want to convey meanings clearly to the listeners. Listeners want to make meanings from what is said, while at the same time deciding on what sort of role they must play in the interaction. In many situations, speakers and listeners will speak and listen intuitively without much conscious thought or effort. However, when we are speaking or listening in unfamiliar contexts, the cognitive requirements become much greater. We have to become aware of our thinking. As students get older, they participate in a wider range of social interactions, for example, family and community, workplace, higher education. The cognitive demands become more complex, requiring students to draw on a wide range of skills to meet their needs. Now, this is accurately said that as we were talking about familiar and unfamiliar backgrounds or situations, so these situations do matter when we are talking about listening. For example, if a student who belongs to the area of literature, and he in his BS has studied literature for 4 long years, he's not connected with day-to-day life issues. So when he is on his workplace for the first time, so that situation is not familiar. So that situation is rather unfamiliar for that student. So it is not that listening that he has to deploy in his workplace conditions. His family and community needs, they're different. His workplace needs are different. His higher education needs are different. So in every different setup, in every different situation, we exhibit a different kind of need. We exhibit a different kind of attitude that is developing. So we can easily sum up saying that situations are familiar and unfamiliar. Contexts are familiar or unfamiliar. If when I was at my school in that age, if I tried sitting among the people who were discussing politics, so that was certainly an unfamiliar context for me. And my cognitive requirements were greater than this. Like I had to gain more cognitive development for the said topic because that was unfamiliar. At that time, if someone talked to me about toys, so I was very much at handy and comfortable with that kind of conversation. So when I grew older, I felt that Now I may be able to talk and understand what political debates are, which at that stage I was unable to gather. So here we are talking about strategies which we can use and improve the listening skills. So first of all, we have the use of non-intrusive verbal and non-verbal signals to encourage them to keep talking. Nodding and saying, and I see, are short, unobtrusive signals that encourage further disclosure. Silence is also okay. Sometimes someone needs a few moments to get their thoughts organized before continuing to the conversation. Give them space. So, silence is silver, but speech is gold. I know that speech is silver and silence is gold, but here I purposely altered the thing because this is demanded in the situation of listening. Our speech is gold, and that speech is gold in a way that we need the speaker to feel that yes, we are with him. If a person is speaking, for example, if a teacher is speaking and he is delivering a lecture, and the class is sitting silent and they're not even nodding, they're not even saying yes, okay, yes, we understand. So it demotivates the teacher. The teacher feels that students are not understanding whatever he is trying to say. In the same way, whenever someone is talking to us, if we are silent, yes, that does matter, but if we are appreciating and if we are commenting little bit on his conversation, okay, like this, okay, you must go on, yes, I'm with you, then what happened? Look, these are the signals which make the speaker realize that yes, the listener is very much attentive. He's not going sideways, he's not busy with his mobile phone, he's not silent and thinking something else. So when we are silent, sometimes this is also assumed that we are planning to reply. So don't, if you are a speaker, don't plan to reply when you're listening to something. If you have done with listening, take your time and then speak. So when you are listening, it is just the course of listening, then there should be nothing else involved in that course. Let them keep going until they run out of steam. When I learned to listen properly, I was amazed to discover that a lot of people desperately want someone to slow down and hear what they have to say. This is especially true if they feel angry, upset, or need to work through a problem. One of the most useful, fundamental, and difficult listening skills of all is to keep quiet and let the other person hold the floor. If you're dealing with an angry or frustrated individual, they won't be able to think clearly until they have offloaded everything that's on their mind. So sometimes we are in a situation that we may not be familiar with. We are listening to the elders, we are listening to the teachers, we are listening to class fellows, we are listening to the colleagues. So these are the situations which are very much familiar, and these are our daily routine circumstances. But sometimes we happen to interact with a speaker who is filled with something to say, who's bursting out, who wants catharsis, who wants to speak out. He may be very much sad, he may be very much angry, and he may be very much miserable, that he wants to vomit out whatever he's holding inside his brain, his mind. So in that situation, we should be silent. We should be silent observer. If they are feeling angry or upset, we need to be silent and we need to wait for them to finish. Whenever a speaker is speaking, for example, in debates we watch television daily and we see when there are two political party members, they're sitting and speaking, and rather they are confronting each other. They are deliberately trying to confuse the person. They're deliberately trying not to listen to the person. Rather, they want to give their own opinion. So their own opinion does matter, but when it is demanded. So when a person is so that is why they're all the time at daggers head. They're fighting with each other. We should be silent when some person is speaking. When some person is offloaded, whatever was on the mind or his mind, then it is our cue to speak. So it is, yes, it is difficult. Listening skill is difficult in a way that we need patience. And that is a huge patience that is demanded in listening skills. No one is a good listener. Remember, all the people may be considering them a good speaker. Have you ever noticed this thing that whenever a person is cutting jokes, rather than enjoying the jokes, you are remembering what joke you can say in return or tell in return. So this is what matters with our listening. This is what the issue is with our listening, that we are focusing more on what we need to say rather than what is already said by the speaker. Secondly, if there are two poets, all the poets who are narrating their poetry, uh, definitely all of them are thinking what good poem they should be quoting in response to the first poet. So again, this is a bad thing. This is a bad habit. Listening demands that you should listen to the people with a complete purpose of understanding and comprehension. So once they are done, then you can speak with what you want to say. Do not play the role of armchair psychologist. To some extent, everyone is psychologist. We all like to come up with our own theories about why so and is so angry all the time, and why our cousin always falls for men who treat her badly, etc. Analyze it on your own time. When someone shares important information with you, do not speculate about their personal motivations or why they behave in a particular manner. At best, you will come across as a bit too nosy. At worst, your conversation partner will feel patronized and angry at you. So we are definitely psychologists. We have understanding of life. We meet people. So the more you have exposure to meet people, the more psychology is at your hand. You know how do people behave in certain situations and how to cope with them when they are behaving in certain situations. So we should be knowing the role of a psychologist, but we should not be overemphasizing on this thing. We should be behaving in a good particular manner in which we are expected to be listening to everything that is said, even if you have been in the same situation or faced the same problems as someone else. Like it is, do not interrupt with unsolicited advice. So what does it say? Even if you've been in the same situation or face the same problems as someone else, do not offer your ideas or solutions unless asked for them. There are few things more annoying than unwanted advice or suggestions. Resist the urge to tell them that you know exactly what they are going through. To put it bluntly, you don't. Two people can have a similar experience, yet their personality types, upbringing, and previous life events mean that they will not experience the same emotions. That is very much true. That we should not be interrupting the speaker with uh, our advocacy or certain things that we have been through, or if we are listening to the person and we start feeling, okay, yes, the same thing happened to me, so I'm in the best, or I may be the best person on earth to advise him or her. No, you are not that person. Even if you have been through the situation, you should keep your advice to yourself unless demanded, unless asked for. The person who is listening to you or who's speaking to you is more interested in telling you what happened to him. He's not interested in knowing what has already happened to you. So when he is saying the same thing that has already happened to you, listen to him as if it has never happened to you. Because even if two people are sharing the same tragedies, the impact of those tragedies may be different for both of you. For example, uh, your upbringing, your previous life events, your personality types, and your emotions, these are certain things that do matter and vary from person to person. For example, if a person failed in some semester and someone else who is now talking and explaining that he is very sad that he failed this semester, so it doesn't mean that both of you felt so. It may be the case that your father was a well-known businessman, and that person who is now talking to you about his failure may be the son of a poor person. So the situations matter for both of you, though failure is the same. It won't hit you that hard the way it hit him. So we should put ourselves in others' shoe. We should feel their pain. Even if we have gone through that pain, or even the greater pain than that person, still we should make him realize that yes, we are with you and we are listening to your pain. You can, definitely, you can suggest that person, you can advise that person, keeping your experience in your mind, but when they are demanded. Until unless those are demanded or asked for, please keep them with you. Do not share them. If your conversation partner, we are continuing the same slide. If your conversation partner asks for your input and then go ahead, but gauge their response. If they appear open to your Facebook feedback, continue. However, if they start frowning, crossing their arms, or give any indication that your advice isn't helpful or welcome, stop and ask whether they want you to continue. Remember, no one is obliged to follow your recommendations. Put your ego to one side. Once you have contributed, it's up to you, the other person, to strategize their next move. Furthermore, they may not be divulging the whole story, and they will need to take more other facts and considerations into account when drawing up a plan of an action. So, whenever we are talking to the people, their non-verbal communication is in front of us. We can see them, the way they're behaving, the way they are uh, uh, replying to, non-verbally replying to what we are saying. Sometimes they're frowning, sometimes they're crossing their arms, sometimes they're giving such indications that they make us feel that whatever we are saying is not helpful. Or whatever we are saying, they have already tried it before. This is also possible. So what we should do in that thing is, we should keep our advices to ourselves. We should be keeping our ego at one side. Because at that time, if we start thinking that if this person is not understanding what I am trying to say, because I'm trying to help him with my own experiences, so that is the use of ego, which should not be used at all. So even if that person has listened to us without frowning, without complaining, without crossing their arms, so once we have contributed, it's again up to them to make a strategy to the next move. Like, they're not driven by us. They don't have anything to do with how we have gone through that situation. We don't know what kind of a story is going on in their mind. So if we are to give our feedback, yes, we should, but we should not expect that feedback to work in such a way that we want. So the person is not obliged to follow our recommendations. He's not going with our recommendations, he's going with his own life. He or she will be working the way they want, the way they feel that things are better at their hand. We may be confident in our lives, they may not be. We may be rich, they may not be. We may be able to cope with the situation, they may not be able to. So there are certain things, there are very much different scenarios that matter from person to person. So we should be giving our advice, but we should not expect that advice to work that handy or that quick, as we are expecting it to be. So if we are expecting it to be very good, do not expect it to be accepted by the person. Then we need to rephrase someone else's words, but do not parrot them back. So this is again uh, we are putting the same words in different actions. Uh, you may have heard that repeating someone's words back to them shows that you have been listening. This is true to a point. A fine line exists between reflecting understanding and quoting someone verbatim. I'll use an example to illustrate the concept. Suppose that your friend said the following: I've been feeling quite lonely lately. It seems like my family doesn't care what I am doing or whether I'm even happy. So here, this is what you have just listened from your friend. So here are two potential replies that can be to this remark, which you can think would help your friend feel truly heard, and which would make them feel really annoyed. So one reply could be, so you feel like they aren't giving you much attention right now? Oh, you've been feeling lonely lately and like your family doesn't care for you, what you're doing. The second response shows that you have heard the actual words, but it also sounds downright weird. Your friend might wonder if she's been talking to a parrot instead of a normal human being. I prefer the first response since it reflects an absorption of the meaning behind the words in addition to the words themselves. Again, coming to this slide. So this says rephrase someone else's words but do not parrot them back. So if you have experienced keeping a parrot, so if that parrot talks, you understand very well that whenever we say the same thing to a parrot time and over again, the parrot starts speaking the same thing, though he doesn't understand what he's saying. A parrot may be uttering such voices that you are uttering. A parrot may be calling certain names that are called in your house, but that parrot doesn't understand what he's saying. So if a person is telling or making a catharsis to us, and if we repeat the same thing that he has said to us, this is good. This is not bad. But in certain situations, the speaker starts feeling that what new is acquired from your side. Whatever he said, it seemed that he was either talking to a tape recorder or to his own thoughts or to a parrot, that he is getting the same replies time and over again. Like in this example, he said that I feel that my family is ignoring me and not taking care of me the way they should. So there could be two replies. So, okay, you feel that your family is not taking care of you. So they should take care of you. After all, you're born in their house, you're their family, you're their blood. So this can be one reply. And that parrot reply can be, your family doesn't take care of you and they're not treating you the way they should. So this is a parrot reply. And this is not the reply that person wants to have. If a person wanted to have this reply, he could have recorded his own conversation and then he could have listened to his own words. He came to you because he wanted to share something with you. Now listen, this is very important point that I am speaking, that a person who receives a telephone call, who receives a message, or if he receives a person in person. So if a person comes to me to share his problem, a person calls me to share his problem, a person texts me to call or to share his problem, I should think that I am the luckiest person. There are almost 9 billion people in the world. He chose me out of those 9 billion to share his tragedies. So I should be happy that at least I do matter, or my opinion does matter for a person on this earth, that he is considering me and he's sharing his outburst with me. So I should be giving a proper time to that person. That person came to me with so much expectations that, okay, if I am going to uh, talk to that person about my problems, at least that person will listen. For example, if for example, God forbid, you fail your semester and you talk to your mother about it. So your mother cannot do anything about uh, this failing of your semester. She cannot help you in passing that semester in the same with the same students. You failed, so she is helpless. But why are you talking to her? She's no one to give you degree, but you know at least that she is the one who understands your pain. Your parents are the people who understand your pain. Your family, your immediate family is a place or people who understand what you are going through. They cannot solve the problem. So you cannot solve the problem of a person, and he or she may know it, but still they are coming to you. Why? They are coming to you because they have considered that at least you will give them some uh, positive feedback, you will encourage them, you will give them what they are demanding, you will give them what they need. So this is the way that we should behave. If someone is coming to us with his catharsis, we should be listening and we should be giving very positive replies. We should be dedicating our time without using distractions. In that time of listening, we should not be using mobile phones. We should not be talking to rest of the people. We should not be busy with our office work or homework, whatever we are doing. We should be attentive to the person. Then check your assumptions. We all tend to view the world through the lens of our own preferences and experiences. For example, if you are close to your parents and enjoy talking to your mother on the telephone every week, you're likely to be upset on someone else's behalf if they tell you that their own mother is very ill. But if your conversation partner happens to have a distant relationship with their parents, they probably won't expect an overly sympathetic reaction. In fact, your sympathy might make them feel uncomfortable. So we should be assuming the spaces, we should be assuming the roles that who we are talking to. If we are talking about some close relative or if we are talking to our some close relative, then our care or sympathy should have some other directions. Or if we are talking to some person, a remote person or distant friend, then we should move our experiences and sympathies in certain other directions. So this is like if you cannot be so caring about a person you don't know in your expression, they will tend to feel uncomfortable about it. If you come to know that if a person is ill, you start texting him, okay, how are you feeling? And that person barely knows you. So that will put him in uncomfortable situation. But if it happens to be about your family, so you should be doing this, and that is proper care. That is what we should do. So this happens that who we are talking to, and what the lessons here. Do not project your own feelings onto someone else. Let them tell you what a situation means for them personally. Under no circumstances should you should tell them how to feel. Accept everyone's differences and that no one will react in reality in exactly the way under the same circumstances. So your feelings are to be projected to those person who you are comfortable with or who are comfortable with you. You should not try to be comfortable with everyone, and you should not expect everyone to be comfortable with you since you are trying to be comfortable to them. So there are certain people you can be comfortable with, and there are certain people who cannot afford to be comfortable with you. So at this level, we should make our assumption, or we should choose and check our assumption that who is the person we are talking to and what is the role we should play and how to behave, whether we are listeners and or speakers. Now, whatever is discussed, we need to put that into practice. So these were some of the strategies. There can be flooded strategies. There can be so many other strategies. But as far as these strategies are concerned, these need practice. And your challenge for today is to phone a friend or relative you haven't seen or spoken to in a while, and and then use the conversation as an opportunity to practice your active listening skills. You don't need to be on the phone for hours. Just try a 20 minutes catch up. Ask them what they've been doing lately and strive to listen attentively. You might be shocked to discover how often you slip into bad listening habits. Afterwards, reread this chapter and make an honest assessment of what you did or how you did. This exercise also comes with a nice bonus. By phoning your friend or relative, you can build up and improve your relationship. Recall the last time someone called you up unexpectedly and truly wanted to know how you were doing. It felt good, didn't it? You felt valued. The person you call is going to feel the same way. Maybe you could even make it a habit to phone them on a regular basis. So this is a very good challenge, and this comes with a bonus. First of all, you are improving your listening skills. Secondly, you are making an assessment of your own self, that how well did you listen or how otherwise the case was. You will also come to know after going through these slides that what were the bad listening habits you continued during your previous phone calls or interactions with the people. And lastly, which is very important, brother, you will bring your relations closer. And when you will practice it, you will again read these slides, and then you will come to know that yes, you went through all this and you had a good experience. And when you go through all this, do comment in the comment bar in this video that how your experience went. So this is also a test for you guys, and also an opportunity. If this video is successful, all the people who are watching this video will be able to connect to their relatives they have not been able to connect lately. Listen, now very important thing I am going to say before ending this presentation, and that is that, for example, if you have a bank account in any bank, what could be the possible minimum limit of it, or possible minimum balance? That could be zero. So whenever you go to your bank, the banker won't tell you that your balance is minus 100 rupees. No, it is, or it has to be zero. But there is another thing, emotional bank account, that is called EBA. So that emotional bank account goes in minus. For example, you have some distant relative or your close relative, you're not talking to that person for a long time. So that emotional bank account starts decreasing. And then when you are not talking to that person, or you haven't talked to that person for a year, that comes nearly to zero. And then when that person listens to something, or that may be a rumor, or that may be something attributed to you, you may not have said that Mr. A was saying this about you, so his emotional bank account about you goes into negative. And then a time comes when the poison tree, you must have gone through the poem, the poison tree, so that is so much spread, or that is so much taller and greener, that you start hating each other. So we need to build up that emotional bank account with our loved ones, with our friends, with our relatives, with all the people who we have been in interaction with. Those may be your students, those may be your teachers, especially your family. Try talking to them, call them, talk about them. If you cannot talk to them for 20 minutes, or if you think that 20-minute catch-up is a big catch-up, try talking to them for 2 or 3 minutes. Listen to them. Tell them that yes, you were missing them and you wanted to talk to them, and you wanted to know how they're feeling. Then you will realize that how good you are feeling after that call, and that person most certainly will be feeling the best at that moment. Or that person will be feeling as if you have given them something unique for that day. And they will remember you. They will discuss you in their immediate family. Okay, I just received a phone call from that person. He was talking very high of you. He was missing all of you, and he was praying for all of you. So prayer is something that is a sadqa jariya that doesn't cost us anything. But if we are talking to each other and if we are saying something good to each other, so that will cost us nothing, but that we will be getting good high ranks in heaven. And if we are listening to those people, how they are feeling, how they are doing, we didn't talk to them for a long time, they will tell us about their life experiences. And we will definitely give a good feedback after going to these slides. And they will be thankful to us. So I expect all those who are listening to these slides patiently that they will be making a phone call today, and even I'll be making a phone call myself today, and I'll be sharing my experience, that how my experience went, and I'll be expecting you people to share your experiences below in the message box or comment box. Thank you very much for being so patient. You have been wonderful audience, and I'll be sharing more such slides and topics related to communication skills. Thank you very much. May God be with you. Stay protected. Stay home.